welcome to the Soulish Podcast. My name is Whitney Apke, and I am your host. I'm so excited that you are here to listen to my new podcast series, Soulish. Here, I'll be talking all about the ish of our souls. The ish being negative thought patterns, blockages, challenges, but also the victories, aha moments, and breakthroughs we experience in our mind, emotions, and will. We'll dive deep and talk about everything in between, of course. I'm excited to share my experiences and thoughts, as well as bring on guests who can help us make the connections between our spirit, soul, and body. It's my desire to uplift, encourage, and inspire you in each podcast. Thank you so much for joining me again this week for episode 7, where we're going to continue the conversation regarding negative thought patterns. This is kind of like a little mini series that I wanted to start. And last week we talked about negative self-reflection, and this week I want to talk about overthinking. It's such a common issue to have, especially when you're going through something really tough, when you're grieving, when you're letting go of something, when you have a big decision that you need to make. It's really hard to not overthink. I am by default an overthinker. I really need to have a clear plan in my head of what the future is going to look like, or what a situation or a conversation I need to have is going to look like. And I go through so many different scenarios and outcomes and what might be said or what might happen if I make this decision. And I overthink things to the point that I don't live in the present and I don't enjoy the moment. Even if it's a difficult moment to have, it's so hard for me to be present because I'm overthinking and thinking about this and thinking about that. And I can't just enjoy my life or have a clear enough head to go ahead and make the right decision for me, or to have a clear head and to see a different perspective, or even the reality of something. Sometimes I overthink to the point where I've totally misconstrued facts, and I get so wrapped up in something else that I'm literally obsessing over it to the point where I have lost reality. And so I know I'm guilty of it. I know other people are guilty of it, and there's no judgment in having this conversation. But I want to have the conversation and discuss how we can basically move forward from this behavior and this habit that we have of overthinking, and how we can benefit from that tendency of wanting to plan and wanting to have a roadmap and a layout for our future, because that is actually a really great skill, and that's a really great default reaction to have when things happen. And I think for all the women out there that are moms, the men out there that are dads, like that's one of the skills you need as a parent, because you really do need to have foresight. And foresight is so different from overthinking, because foresight, there is trust, whereas overthinking, there's no trust. Foresight, there is peace, whereas overthinking, there's anxiety. So there's differences between the two. And basically, foresight is you're living in your power, you are moving in your power, you're making decisions in your power, you're speaking in your power and your value, your worth, your truth. Whereas overthinking, it's constant self-doubt. It's constant anxiety and fear, and you cannot deal with the unknown, whereas foresight can deal with the unknown, but it just takes into account what might happen, what you want to visualize that you desire will happen. And foresight is the optimistic version, in a sense, of overthinking, because there is joy and peace in it, and there's clarity in foresight. Whereas overthinking has no clarity, has no vision, and is just kind of like a bad example, but a chicken with their head cut off running around, which I hate that. I would feel so bad if I ever saw a chicken without their head running around. That would actually kind of grieve me. So I hate that phrase, but it's like the common phrase to say of, lack of vision, direction, confusion. So let's dive in. So overthinking is when you go over and over different choices in your mind, trying to imagine every possible outcome and everything that could happen in the future to make sure that you have the perfect or right choice, right? So your focus is only on avoiding mistakes and the risk of what will happen if it goes wrong. So it's that worry, it's that frantic, fretting, worry, anxiety, oh no, what if, it's all of that. That's overthinking. And I struggle with the whole what if thing because that possibility or those possibilities that I may not even know that I'm already afraid of happening, that what if gets me. So I always have to remind myself, like, it doesn't matter about the what if because you can't determine what that what if is because it's outside of your control and you have to be okay with that. I have to self-talk all the time. And I mean, COVID is a great, opportunity, as we always talk about, to dive into your thought process and to catch yourself. Have stop signs set up for yourself so that you can stop, pause, and either retract a thought and rewind and go backwards and restate it, but in your power and in your truth and what you have out there for you in your life, what you want, your dreams, that it aligns with that, with your passion, your desire. And so sometimes we need those stop signs, mental stop signs, in order to pause and take a breath and realize it's okay. Even if we don't know what the outcome is, we're going to be okay. The risk in life is making no choices at all. If we're afraid of risk, then we're never going to live. So to have the risk outweigh the possibility of what could happen that would benefit you or serve you in your life, in your journey, that should always outweigh the risk. And if the risk ever outweighs that, then you do really need to pause and think about it, not overthink, but evaluate. Take a moment to take stock of what you have and what you might lose, because sometimes that is wisdom. Sometimes that is foresight, where you see something and the risk outweighs the benefit. It's not worth it to invest your time, your money, your energy, your thoughts, your heart. Sometimes that is a good moment to pause and realize, actually, in this case, the risk outweighs the benefit, the possibility of a benefit, because I don't want to lose this or that. And that matters more to you. And that's okay. But a lot of times the risk doesn't actually outweigh the benefit. We're just too afraid. And we're too focused on the negative and what will go wrong, that we don't step out and try new things or have a little adventure. And that, that is never a good way to live. That is never a happy way to live your life. So the problem with overthinking is that it's an attempt to control what isn't controllable. And that's the whole point, is the difference between, like I said, foresight and overthinking is that foresight doesn't need to control. It's just looking ahead and going, okay. And you have wisdom from past experience. You have wisdom from watching other people maybe make the same choices, and you saw what the consequences or outcome was. And so you go, okay, definitely not going to make that decision because I saw how that panned out. Or I done that, been there, cashed that, and that was not good. That did not benefit me at all. And that didn't benefit anyone else in my life either. So if that's the case, then that's fine. But overthinking needs to control everything. Overthinking comes from that fear, right? Of the risk and the negative and what might go wrong. So therefore, you need to control everything. And I've seen that with my own family, because it may not necessarily come from like a strong fear, but it's just a desire for everyone to be included or for this moment to happen. And so because there is a thought or an expectation out there that then our family gatherings have to be a certain way because of the need to control the situation, because what if no one has fun, or what if no one gets along, or what if it's boring, or whatever, And you can see that in your friendships and your own family. I'm sure you've experienced it. It can be present anywhere. And so that need to control the unknown or the possibility or that risk, that is a out of your power place to operate, if that makes sense. You are now not operating in your power, in your value, in your worth, in your truth. Now you're operating out of fear, which is a powerless position to live your life, right? So you don't want to step into that. And every time that you see yourself stepping in out of your power, stepping into fear, stepping into anxiety, and trying to start to control a situation or control a conversation, then you need to pause and have those stop signs up in your mind saying, hey, if I know that this is a tendency for me, and if I ever hear this kind of chatter in my mind, then I'm going to pause. And if you say that, if you speak that over yourself, if you remind yourself of that going into a situation, and maybe in the morning, that's part of your mantra or your daily affirmations, the meditation that you have of, I do not need to control anything because I trust God. I trust the universe, source, the highest being, power, authority in my life. I trust that life is happening for me, not to me. Therefore, I do not need to control anything, but be present and be free to enjoy my life. And if that needs to happen, where that's a daily reminder, and I have been there where I have needed desperately to remind myself in the days that I didn't, work did not pan out so great, or personal life or conversations that needed to happen did not pan out so great. And so it's really important to remember and to live consciously, right? We don't want to live unconsciously. We want to be conscious of what we are thinking, of the self-talk. If we aren't aware of it, then we can't fix it. Then we can't remedy it. We can't stop it. Then we have no chance of ever having a pause. So we need to live more consciously and basically bring ourselves back into our awareness, because that is also another place of power, is awareness. If you can be aware of yourself and your thoughts and your heart, your feelings, all the things that are going around, your energy, how you're feeling, if you're feeling depleted, or if you're feeling a surge, a rush of energy all of a sudden that isn't necessarily like energy like I feel awake, but this spiritual energy that you feel coursing through, your body. You feel it kind of radiating out of you. I don't know if any of you have ever felt that before, when you've really needed your spirit to come into a situation and give you strength. I know I've been there where I've had like a really weak moment where it's been an emotional moment and I've had to do something that is really painful and really takes me back, because I don't know if I can say no to this or say yes to something that is scary, or it feels so big of a decision. And I have definitely been there where I have suddenly felt a surge of energy come through me that gave me basically like wind in my sails that I needed to move forward. And so that awareness, you want to be able to be aware, fully present with all parts of you, so that you can fully be present and aware and enjoy your life and not be ruled by anything else other than the truth within you. Hey, it's me. I just wanted to let you guys know that I am a certified life coach, and I have been coaching and mentoring people for over a decade now. I specialize with issues of the soul, no surprise there, and can help you realign with your values and purpose, break free from emotional blockages and negative thought patterns, and you will feel motivated and encouraged to take the necessary steps to living a fulfilling life. My clients are people just like you who want to have connected and positive relationships with their friends, family, and significant others, break free from addictions and bad habits, heal emotional issues and trauma, and experience spiritual breakthrough and energetic healing. Because as we go through life, we encounter challenges and hardships, and sometimes we need someone to help us keep going or to make adjustments that enable us to overcome and grow, and most of all, enjoy our life. My sessions are designed so that you are completely free to address whatever you feel is most important. If you are interested in meeting with me one-on-one, then go to whitneyapke.com/coaching and sign up. Your first session is on me. So if you're overthinking something, you see even in this conversation how it's the opposite of just being present and enjoying your life and not needing to control anything and not having fear and anxiety over anything in your life, any choices that you're making. Because with most choices, there are unknowns. Most choices, we don't know the outcomes of things. And so, for example, when you choose a partner in life, you don't know what situations the two of you will face and how your partner will react to each situation. That's part of living life with that person. You don't know what you two are going to go through, what trials you're going to face, what challenges you're going to need to overcome together. And that's part of saying and taking that risk of saying, you're my partner for life. I choose you to be my soulmate, right? I choose to live my life next to you. You don't know what the outcome is going to be of your life together. You just know that you want to live it together, right? And so how can you go into something, which a lot of people feel the fear and the nerves day of getting married or having a little ceremony that they're going to be partners for life, and they feel a certain way, or like moving in together, merging your life together with somebody else. That can be very daunting for most people because you're wondering how this is going to pan out, and you'll never enjoy your life and you'll miss out on opportunities in your life if you totally let the unknown and the fear of the unknown keep you and hold you back. And that's no way to live. Overthinking can take away your joy in situations like choosing a college, changing jobs, getting married, having kids, buying a house, and so on. It can make you too risk averse in a sense and scared to act. It can keep you stuck, unable to leave a bad relationship or choose a different career path. And that's no way to live. Seriously, it's no way to live. And so that's why I really want to have this conversation, because negative self-reflection for sure can be very damaging if that's a constant struggle for you. But overthinking can actually, even more so in a sneaky sense, I think, keep you back from living your life. Very interesting, a 2013 study published in the Journal of Abnormal Psychology reports dwelling on your shortcomings, mistakes, and problems increases your risk of mental health problems. Isn't that crazy? That actually overthinking, obsessing, dwelling over, constantly replaying your mistakes, your shortcomings, your problems, your fears of the unknown, of the risk, that can actually cause you mental health problems because it's an unhealthy way of living. It's the same thing if you ate donuts for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and that's all you ever ate. You never once drank, a glass of orange juice, or you never ate a carrot. You just straight up ate donuts. Your body would do the best it could to function off of donuts for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but it would honestly really, really struggle. It's the same thing with like the Super Size Me documentary, where his body was actually functioning. But long term, all of a sudden, these effects started to take place where doctors were actually saying, do not continue. I completely recommend that you stop this experiment because it's actually killing you. Your organs are shutting down from eating McDonald's for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Isn't that crazy? And that's meat and potato and the salad and the tomatoes and all of that, the onions, that even included some vegetables. And yet it was killing him. But it didn't happen overnight, right? He didn't get sick and have all these health issues the next day. It took a while. And the same thing happens with your mental health. You may be thinking this way and you don't see the damaging effects, but long term, you'll have really big mental health problems. And I've had conversations with old people, elderly people that are just precious, but the only conversation they can have with you is the same conversation, and you can be there for 10 minutes and you can have the same conversation maybe 50 times, 20 times. Not because they've lost their sense and they've lost their reality. They know where they are. They're fully present. It's not necessarily that they have a disease, but it's because they keep replaying the same story over and over and over and over and over. That they have the same story that they tell everyone, and they keep having the conversation, and you can try to change the conversation and they'll bring it right back to the same conversation again. And it's because they've just constantly been thinking about it over and over and over and over and over. And if you think that you're an exception to that, you are mistaken. Because anybody that struggles with mental health issues, it didn't happen overnight for most people. It's a process of obsessing and of dwelling on, of all the negative things, all the fears, all the anxieties. And so we don't want to live our life that way. We don't want to end our life that way either. I want to have clarity. I want to have so many stories that somebody sitting with me for an entire day couldn't hear everything that I ever experienced in my life, because I have so many wonderful things to share with them that would encourage them and lift them up and cause them to want to go out there and get a hold of their life. I hope to be that old woman that is, really feisty and and has so many great things to say about life and about people, and that people want to come see and have a conversation with. I don't care about fame, but just that they would want to, that people would want to come see me and have a conversation. And I'm sure you want that too. You don't want to lose honor and respect in the last part of your life. You want to be respected and loved and admired and praised all the days of your life. And it's not because we need that acceptance and, all of that. It doesn't come from necessarily like a conscious need, but it's that every human being wants to have that renown. Every human being wants to have that acknowledgement that they lived a good life and to pass it on. Everybody wants that, to live a good life and to pass it on to the next generation. So what to do instead of overthinking? I have just a couple tips for you. This comes from experience because obviously I've dealt with this before and I've even been dealing with it. I actually did really good this time around when I dealt with something that was really very difficult. And I've done actually a really great job. And so I pat myself on the back because it's a struggle and it's not easy to overcome the tendency to want to overthink and analyze every possibility that could happen because you just so badly don't want to hurt yourself and you don't want to hurt other people. And a lot of times that's the place that you're coming from, is you just don't want to cause pain to anyone. You don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. So you overthink and overthink and overthink. But here's a couple tips for you. Limit the time you spend thinking about a decision before acting. So no, I'm going to sit on this for a day. And if I don't feel good about it, then this is what I'm going to do. If I feel peace, I feel fine in my gut about this, it doesn't matter what I'm thinking about. But if I have that gut sensation, like we've talked about, that inner knowing, then I'm moving ahead because you won't know everything. And something could completely change overnight as well. The outcome could have been one thing and it could change to another outcome overnight, right? So you just have to know and be guided by your intuition. And you have to know how to read your gut, your inner knowing, your intuition in order to follow that, rather than your thoughts and overthinking and overanalyzing and dwelling on it. Give yourself a deadline to decide, even if it feels uncomfortable. And I think that's big, especially when you're dealing with like a relationship or something like that. That can be very difficult. And or a career decision or a move that you're making, that could be very difficult. But it's good to spend time thinking and know when your deadline is up. You have the night, you have a week to sit on something and to feel whether or not, it's something that you need to do, whichever way you go. And so that's a good way to basically decide whether or not this is the way that you want to go, left or right, forward, backwards. Only allow yourself to research a few alternative options, not every single one. And this is more of just a suggestion that I have, but what I like to do is research my options, and I like to see even maybe reviews of like if somebody made this decision in their life for this particular thing and that worked out for them or if it didn't. And so I'll do like a research little binge, and I typically do that with everything, including like my puppy's toys. I mean, I just like to know, like, is this going to get destroyed in 5 seconds? Because if so, then I'm not going to spend the $12, but I'll find something else like latex that he can't really destroy as easy as he can a little plush, fluffy toy. It's good to research a little bit, but to not overdo it. Don't be so hard on yourself, because you're only human, and it's not the end of the world if you make a mistake. And so I think that's the thing too. We have to be okay with the fact that we are human and we are living this life, and part of this life includes making mistakes. And that's okay if you make a mistake. But what's not okay is if you're not present and if you don't learn from it. That's when it's going to hurt real bad. Is if you make a mistake, you don't learn from it, and you repeat it. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to repeat nothing that I've ever done wrong. I want to learn and move on. I do not want to repeat that. And that's even down to who you're attracting in your life and the career path that you're wanting to take. And so you're hearing it straight from a perfectionist's lips, and it's okay. It's okay to make mistakes. That's part of life. It's just the important thing is to learn from them. When you feel overwhelmed or you don't have an answer for something, meditate. Take time to get silent. It's just good to do when you're overwhelmed, but especially meditating. And I found myself, especially because we're quarantined, we're sheltered in place. I'm in my home. Man, I can talk to myself whenever I want, and I can just go into a meditation, even if it's 5 minutes when I'm feeling overwhelmed or flustered. And it's so helpful. I have found so much more clarity of my mind, and I feel like I can navigate my thoughts so much better. And so that's a great default when you're feeling overwhelmed. Just step away for a moment and have a moment where you can just quiet your mind and clear out all the thoughts of all the possibilities so that the answer can be heard and you can feel the peace instead of anxiety or overwhelming. Overthinking can stem from anxiety, so practice stress management techniques like yoga, running, nature walking, or meditating. Those are all great stress management techniques. I really love doing yoga first thing in the morning. I feel like it grounds me so much. It actually is a really great workout for the morning of waking your body up. And especially if you're like me and you kind of work at a desk most of the day and you're seated, then yoga's perfect. And even like midday yoga is so good. I love midday yoga because it helps my shoulders and my neck and all of that. But yoga is a great thing. And running, for those of you who can run, that's awesome. Nature walking is huge. Getting outside, breathing fresh air, noticing the trees, the leaves, the wind, the butterflies in spring. It doesn't matter. My favorite thing is to hear the birds chirping. I love how they talk and all the different sounds. And so a lot of times I'll take Winston, my little puppy, out And he's, kind of freaked out because he's still afraid of people. I adopted the poor thing. And I think, all the shots and neutering before he was even 2 months old, I think that slightly traumatized the poor little dude. But he's kind of like looking everywhere and also looking for other puppies to play with and to sniff and to meet. But I'm busy like looking up, and I love hummingbirds. I love the birds chirping. I'm always trying to find a blue jay around here because we have a ton of them where I live. And I just love the sounds and the songs, and it's just so beautiful. And I just love noticing nature. And sometimes that's just all I need, is to be present in the moment and enjoying everything around me. And that takes me into a place of realizing that everything I'm stressing out about isn't that big of a deal, and it'll work itself out, especially with work or with family or relationships. That's so good to do. And meditating obviously is another good one. And you can find so many meditations on YouTube. Just look it up. There's meditations for everything and anything that you could ever want. And I do a lot of clearing meditations, chakra clearing meditations, energy aura clearing meditations. And I do a lot of, manifestation, affirmation, visualization meditations in the morning. And at night, it's more of like the chill, wind down, clearing my energy from the day and replenishing, because I think that's how I want to go to sleep. And then I want to be able to recharge throughout the night as my body is recharging. I want my energy, my spirit to be recharging, as well as my mind and clarity. So it kind of helps me with all of that. So that way I wake up really refreshed and I don't dream such weird dreams. The thing is that life is meant to be enjoyed. And if you're overthinking, and if you're totally spinning your mental wheels on something and you're stuck, then you're not enjoying life and you're not living life. That's for dang sure. Because you can't even move forward because you're too afraid to make a mistake or for something to not work out. So then you're not even making the decision to move forward, and you're missing out on opportunities, adventures, and moments to really gain more clarity. If you don't make a mistake, or if you don't experience something, then you don't experience something of yourself. And every opportunity that comes is a moment for you to see yourself in a different perspective, in a different way. Really, overthinking is just that skill of thinking quickly on your feet, foresight, being able to make a plan in the moment. It's really just the unbalanced version of that. Whereas you can be balanced and have the ability to quickly think on your feet and make a decision, and to quickly see the outcomes and what would maybe be the best decision going forward. And that's the balanced version, right? That's when you're operating in your power and in your truth. But the out of balance version of that gift, that skill that you have, is overthinking. And having that keep you and hold you back, which you don't want. Because life is meant to be enjoyed. And so if you overthink, then you can't enjoy your life, because you're not living in the present. You're thinking either in the past or you're thinking in the future. And if you're thinking in the past, you can't live in the present. And if you're thinking in the future, you can't enjoy the present, because you're always thinking of what's to come. And then you're never seeing what is. And that's no way either to live your life. You should enjoy your life every single day. You should be enjoying your life and taking every opportunity and learning from every decision that you make, good or bad. So don't overthink. Walk and live and move and breathe in your power, in your truth, and listen to your intuition, not necessarily your thoughts. Have that gut sense, that feeling. Let that be the foundation of what you think and how you think. Thank you for joining me again for another episode in this mini-series on negative thought patterns. I hope that you're enjoying it and that it's speaking and resonating with you. Let's continue the conversation on Instagram and Facebook at I Am Soulish. I can't wait to see you again next week as we continue this conversation.